Christian Books Worldwide is a UK-based charity which equips pastors who serve the world's most disadvantaged communities. We provide them with sound Reformed literature covering key aspects of doctrine and Christian living. Most have limited resources and little or no formal theological training. Since the charity's formation in 2009, some 650,000 free books have been distributed to pastors in 41 countries, translated into 36 languages. Christian Books Worldwide, or CBW as we are known, has three main areas of operation: book distribution, translation and publication, and audio books. Let's look at these in turn. In early 2020, CBW centralised distribution in a fully serviced warehouse on the site of an old Spitfire factory, conveniently situated just off the M4 corridor outside Swindon. Working parties of volunteers meet on Tuesdays and Fridays to receive and sort donated second-hand books, often including whole libraries, as well as stocks of new books purchased by CBW from publishers at substantially reduced prices for sole use in the majority world. Used books are screened and categorised, as Sukesh Pabari explains.
Imagine there's a pastor in this country who over decades has built a stock of books like we all do. It's a hazard of the job. If you're a pastor, you're going to have books. When he dies and his widow doesn't want the books, what do? Many of them contact us and they say, my husband has left a lot of books, can you use them? We usually pick up all the books and bring them to our warehouse in Swindon, where I and Gordon Oram, between us, we sort these books. And I will look at every book and if I'm not sure, reject. It has to be good for a pastor in the developing world. I want to make that clear. We're not careless about what we send out. A lot of books are just recycled. They're not good for pastors in the developing world. Why do we store them? They just go to the tip. A number are in a good condition and can be sold on eBay to raise money for CBW, and they're sold on eBay. The ones we keep, and I keep thinking to myself about pastors in Kenya that I know, the ones I trained over many years, and I think to myself, will they benefit from this?
Screened second-hand books are then combined with new books specially selected for individual pastors known to CBW, and are then packed and dispatched around the world. At the other end, packages are usually collected at local depots, but sometimes the onward journey to more remote locations can be quite an adventure. But the books are always gratefully received.
We thank the Lord for this organization, Christian Books Worldwide, for donating to us Bibles and different books so that we as students, we can read and proclaim the message of God to people. The main aim is that the people should know God and have life in Jesus Christ, which is very important. We thank for this donation. Thank you.
Typically, recipients of these packages are pastors educated to secondary school level who can read English reasonably well. CBW recently launched the Preacher's Collection, a mini library of 15 books containing the fundamentals needed to be sound, gospel-focused Bible teachers and church leaders. The books cover 4 key areas: the Bible, doctrine and theology, preaching and pastoral ministry, and discipleship, ethics and history. The second pillar of Christian Books Worldwide's ministry is translation and publication. Of course, most pastors in the majority world can't read English, and many aren't schooled beyond primary level and have limited theological education. Over the years, CBW has translated specially selected titles into 36 languages, but the charity focuses on 6 key languages: for Asia, Hindi, Urdu and Tamil, and for Africa, Swahili, Chichewa, and French.
Yes, I think so.
As part of the translation process, books are often abridged, simplified, and contextualized, making them more appropriate for an overseas audience. Let's hear from Sukesh again.
If you are secondary school educated or post-secondary school educated, you have access to the books that a pastor in this country has. There are good bookshops in Nairobi. They can get hold of good books for you. You can order on Amazon and the book will turn up in Nairobi. So as long as you have money, you can get books. When I planted a church in a slum and began meeting pastors in a slum, I realized they had no resources. Even if they could speak English, it was at a very basic level. And most books published in the West are not at a basic level. They're full of idiom, they're full of illustrations that are local to Britain or America. And the level at which they were written, the words they were using, the vocabulary and grammatical structure was simply beyond them. So this is going back now, 2008. We got hold of a very simple book called Sin is Serious. So I and two friends, we began to translate this book into Swahili. And in a few months we'd done it. And in the providences of God, I was visiting Britain and I met Christian Books Worldwide, and they published that book. Since then, we engaged in a fairly extensive translation project. I have quite a few books here in front of me, and these are books that we translated from English into Swahili, so that village pastors who've only had primary school level education, can access excellent books written in English originally in their own language. Many will have read J.C. Ryle, Holiness. It's a superb, one of the best books I've ever read. Well, here it is in Swahili. You will have read Ryle's expository thoughts on Luke. Well, again, this is available to a Swahili-speaking man. He can go into the pulpit with this book and read the passage and read Ryle's exposition. Because I think people struggle to know how to preach. You know, how do you actually preach a passage to your people? They just don't know. And by simply doing what Ryle did, they're actually learning the art of expository preaching as well as feeding his people. So we're making books available in Swahili to pastors in Kenya in that majority group.
Let's hear from another grateful pastor, this time thanking CBW in his own language. The third pillar of Christian Books Worldwide's activity is e- and audiobooks. Around 80 titles are currently available for free on both the CBW website and through the charity's app. Adrian Jones, who heads CBW's digital operations, highlights the potential.
Internet usage in the majority world is expanding rapidly, and we've identified this as a significant opportunity to increase the reach of the work that CBW is doing. So we have developed an app and an ebook reader, which have been available for some time, but we're massively expanding that work at the moment by putting translated material onto that and targeting various countries where we know that internet usage will be attractive.
In the coming months, CBW plans to make available over 300 translated titles, as well as several hundred ebooks in English, and is busy formatting these to test the platform in key locations in Africa and Asia. But ebooks isn't the only area of real potential.
In a lot of the countries and places in which we're operating, there is a strong oral tradition of communication and learning. So one of the things that we're doing at CBW is to develop a number of audiobooks that we can include along with our ebooks as a way of reaching a much, much larger number of people than we could do simply by publishing printed material and distributing that. So this is a really exciting opportunity to massively expand the scale and operation of what we're doing and to reach an awful lot more pastors in these places.
But for now, good old-fashioned books remain the primary means of providing the vast majority of pastors in the poorest parts of the world with access to excellent Reformed literature. To find out more or to offer support for this important gospel work, join us at christianbooksworldwide.org.